If you were to ask me, dude, I want to start my company, what do I need to do? I'll tell you, you're only 11 steps away from having your company running, operational, and getting closer one step to your dream. Stay tuned, as in this particular video, we're going to go over every single step that you need to do to get your company started. If you're looking to get your company started, have an independence, and finally tap in and explore the benefits that this cleaning services company can offer you in the United States, then you're in the right channel. So without further ado, let's start diving in. Number one starts with defining your services. In this particular video, we're not gonna talk about why cleaning company. If you're already watching this video, you most likely come to a conclusion, and rightfully so, that the cleaning industry is amazing and the benefits it can offer you are limitless. Take me as an example. $200 immigrant with a bag of clothes that literally ripped. 4 or 5 years working for other people. 2009, I started my own services company. And then later on, 2015, I was able to start home improvement company. 2017, I was able to start real estate company. And then purchase a boat, get vacations, travel, put out college savings plans, savings investment plans for myself. I'm telling you all of this not to brag about what I have achieved, but to level the playing field. Once you understand that a person like me, who didn't have the high diploma education, who doesn't speak fluent English, no connections, no money, if I'm able to achieve this, then you certainly on the right path, and you can literally supersede all my achievements. And the intent of this video is to give you a shortcut so you can get to your goal closer. When I started, unfortunately, there were no single source or a good source of verifiable information. So I had to learn here and there and here and there. And you know, whenever you learn yourself, you drop the ball and it costs you time, energy, and money. And my intent is to make sure you don't go through this. So now that we're done with the fact that cleaning industry is amazing, let's start talking about defining your industry. So before you start, you have to understand the industry and do a little bit of education. And what you're doing right now is amazing. If you need to get more books, bring a coach, get more courses, do that, because your goal at an early stage to define where you want to tap in. I mean, it's not a rocket science. It doesn't take too much research, but the more you know, the better you are prepared. However, don't let this to stop you. There are some people who become bookworms. You just keep reading a book after book, educating yourself, and it seems like at some point you know so much so that you are afraid and paralyzed to make next steps. I don't want you to go there. I would like you to get started. But a core understanding, a foundation on which you're going to stand, you have to have that thing. And this is great what you're doing now. When defining which industry you want to go into, in cleaning, look at this like a root of the tree which goes out and it can like divide. So you've got like an industrial branch, you've got commercial branch, and you've got a residential branch. And whichever you'd like to do depends literally on your pocket and time and knowledge. So if you come from like a commercial industry and you already have finances and people lined up, then you can start it. In my case, it was easier for me to start the residential home cleaning industry because I didn't have enough money, didn't know the language, didn't know how to bring customers. So my overhead expense or the cost of getting into the business was lowest, because in residential, it is lowest. Let's face it. You most likely have a car already. If you don't, you'll need it depending upon the area that you service. And then you most likely have cleaning equipment and tools in your house that you already use. Those are the only things that you quite frankly need if you're going into the residential, and then you need to be able to attract customers, of course. But in a commercial, if you were to start commercial business, then you might need to have a van. Let's say you start deciding to go into a commercial carpet extraction business, then you need a mount van, and then specialty equipment, strip and wax equipment, lifts, etc. Depending upon what you do, especially in an industrial, then you need industrial grade equipment. However, if your capabilities allow them more power for you, you can start them all. You can start either or. For me, this residential branch was the lowest cost of entry to try. And the beauty of this thing, you can do it as a part-time as well. I understand most of us need a boost in the beginning because you don't know if you haven't never employed people, you don't know if you're able to get business, you just need the boost of your ego. So therefore, the beauty of this business, you can start it as a part-time and residential. If that is what I did, I was working as a full-time for my last employer, and amazing bosses, amazing benefits, but that's how I start going into it. Once you decide what you want to do, let's say for the sake of this video, we're going to go the lowest route, the route that I've taken. It doesn't mean that once you start with residential, then you cannot go to commercial or industrial, which actually I did. So in a sense, my whole business was 100% residential. Then I start getting commercial office cleaning and carpet cleaning and shipping waxing. And they're like, dude, I have a warehouse. And then I start adding those two. And nowadays we're probably 97, 98% commercial and industrial, mostly commercial versus residential. So you are more than welcome to follow my path and use the knowledge that I'm giving so you can go to the next stage sooner. When you do that, you clearly need to identify what you're doing. So let's say you're going residential and you're like a residential cleaner now, then you need to identify the pricing and services that you're going to offer. So residential itself have more branches, right? Are you making beds? Are you going to do the laundry and dishes? Are you going to do the windows and glass? Will you be able to remove the spots from the carpets? How about gutter cleaning? How about pressure washing? So you need to determine the services that you like. Sticking with the concept of going the lowest expense possible, you don't want to buy in any equipment, then all you're going to do is just to start residential services. Then that itself is like initial cleaning, deep cleaning, move in, move out cleaning, construction cleaning, post-construction cleaning, and etc. So that goes in as well into its own branches. So once you determine which services you want to offer, then you need to figure out the pricing that you'd like to offer and try to stick with the concept of pricing. There are two ways to determine the pricing. One is based on the amount of labor hours it'll take, and the second is based on the square footage pricing. Either one you do, make sure you put the overhead expense there. If you haven't watched the video where I talk about one mistake that a lot of business owners in the cleaning do that actually tank their business, then go ahead and watch my other video as well after this video. So you determine that, then when you're doing the research phase, make sure you research the competitors as well. One of the ways to do is hop on their websites. One of the ways you can call, submit the form, etc. Find out, because you don't want to be the most expensive guy or the least expensive guy, because normally people throw away the most expensive and throw away the cheapest and go in the middle. So you want to be reasonable where you're at. And from the reasonableness standpoint, you want to be a little lower than your competition, because if you haven't made your name out there and brand and people don't know who you are, then you want those references, you want those reviews, and therefore your entry point should be a little lower. So try to go a little lower as you can. So that would be number one. Define your services, do the competitor research, and identify the pricing that you'd like to do. Number two would be equipment and supplies. And most of them will already have it. Per se, if you're going to like commercial or industrial, then you need to make a list of equipment you need, hand scrubbers side by side, wet dry vacuums, carpet extractors, etc. But if you're going on residential, then it's much easier, right? You don't have as much stuff to do. However, I suggest you put one of the caddy bags together in which you can put the stuff together and it looks nice, because whenever you go to customer's house, especially if they're there, you don't want the stuff piled one on top of another. You need them neatly sorted and it needs to look presentable, including yourself, your shirt. I know we do cleaning, I know we work with dirt and grime and etc. But however, whenever you show up at customer's house, make sure you're presentable, make sure you're neat, make sure you're clean, make sure you smell good, it's actually like neutral. If you have any perfumes, try not to use them, because you don't know whether a customer allergic to a particular smell or not, whether they like it or not. We don't know if they have good or bad associations with that particular smell that you choose to wear. Therefore, try not to wear anything. I understand you could be coming from one job and you could be sweaty, then change your shirt, get into another shirt before you walk in, because all these impressions make sense and they will linger in a client's mind, and whether they'll call you next time or not will depend on these little factors. Whether you make them smile, whether you make them grateful, whether they have good impressions, whether you look at their loved ones, pets, and etc., and whether you're friendly or not. So all those things, little things, make difference. For that service, probably not, right? You might be in and out, but whether they'll call you back or not, that's a big difference. So therefore, make a list also. And then you want to have some extra items in it, like a blade. They can remove the paint chips, etc. from the windows, a scraper, or a goof off that can remove the paint leftovers. And one thing, when you test any of this, first test on the area which is least visible, right? Like let's say the customer asks you to remove a tarnish spot on their stainless steel equipment. So you don't want to go and pour the chemical that have worked on a previous stainless steel equipment that you've cleaned just on top. Try the invisible part first and see if it's doing it, because your chemical might actually tarnish it more. And then the last thing you want to do is pay for that expensive fixture. It's not just the fixture cost, but it's the plumber to come in and inspect. And if electricity needed, then you are actually paying a lot more for a customer to do that. Or let's say there's a spot on a window that you need to remove. There's a sticky and the client asks you and you're like, look, this is the method I like to use. It's worked in the past. I'm gonna do the corner. If you're satisfied, then I continue to the other parts. And one of the things, the benefit of making the list is you have the equipment and everything, and you need to make sure you don't forget whenever you go to next customer's project, you are now equipped with everything that you need to tackle the common problems. And each time you face something that you have to find yourself going to Home Depot, Walmart, or janitorial store to find some sort of product to remedy that particular issue that customer has, make sure that to add that in your list. Now you have your list together. So those are the things you have to have, like identify the pricing, and those are the soft costs, like the cost to you, right? Like emotionally, intelligently, it's none of that so far costed you money, minus the equipment that you might have start buying. But I was more referring to making the list and making sure you have it and you can actually buy those equipment, because you decide what service to do, then service with the right equipment is much easier and more pleasant. Next thing you want to do is, and this will be number 3, is to name your company. A lot of cleaners us make a mistake and we try to go with our last names just to name a company. For example, I could have said Shukurov's Cleaning Services, and then who knows who's Shukurov? Nobody knows, right? Like, I'm not trying to be offensive here, but only your friends and family know your last name or first name or John's Cleaning Services. I mean, it doesn't say anything. What you'd like to do is establish your brand first and make the name catchy, short, memorable, and so that it aligns with your values. For example, if I offer green cleaning services and I want to do the home cleaning services, then I would probably want to call environmentally friendly or eco-friendly home cleaning services. This way, whoever reads my company name, they already know what I do, right? I'm saying I'm eco-friendly, and then I do home services cleaning. And you can do, like, for example, if it's Pasadena, you can see off Pasadena. But if you have intentions to grow, I would not limit myself to a region by associating that to my name. For example, if you do hassle-free industrial cleaning services, then that's what you probably want to name your company, so the customer can associate easily by reading it. When you become celebrity and now the clients know your name, and trust me, with time, dedication, and effort, you will get there. Then you can call your next company John's Real Estate Services and etc. Well, you get the idea. So whenever you do that, I would like to encourage you to give away your ego and instead get the name that can easily be associated with the values you offer and services you provide. The next thing would be you would need to go get your company registered and then be compliant with the state and municipality, because the last thing you want to do, especially if you're an immigrant, then break the law, get the lawsuit on you while your paperwork is being reviewed for the naturalization services, which then in turn may affect your services or your legal status negatively. If you're not in that boat, you still want to be compliant, because we don't want to get slapped by the regulator. So when you register your company, you got, and luckily nowadays, especially with COVID, lots of government organizations are offering online applications. So you can do it online in the state of Maryland too. And if I'm not mistaken, we'll put a price. It was like $100 or so to register the company and $50 to get it expedited, somewhere around there. Based on the type of the entity you decide to go with, they'll give you articles of incorporation or articles of organization. And then once you have that paper, which is printed online, you will be able to do it immediately. Then the next step will be number 4. number 5 is to get your EIN number. EIN is Employee Identification Number, and you want to get it based on the type of entity you formed. Consult with your legal and or tax professional. This is only for educational purposes. There are different types of entities. There's a sole proprietorship, which is mostly popular, LLC, limited liability corporations, and then corporation, which is also S Corp or C Corp, Open Corp, Closed Corp, and then there's partnership. I see a lot of cleaners going with the sole proprietorship. However, most advice that I've received is leaning towards more limited liability corporation. Starting it's easier. Then you're not working under your social security number, you actually work under employee identification number, which is now shielding your social security. There's a little bit more veil of protection, a little easier on a taxing and accounting, which means your tax and accountant services will be a little less compared to a corporation. My understanding, corporation provides more structured approach, more thicker corporate veil, but it also is more expensive to handle the accounting, and you wanna outsource the accounting. That was one of the things that I've never ever tried to do myself, and always used a professional accountant company, and I never regret doing that, because yes, we are the business owners, we can learn everything, we can do everything, but are you the right person to do that? And if this spending your energy learning this and doing it mediocre worse than paying someone to do something else, and instead you focusing on actually running your business and bringing more business and growing your business. So be mindful where you spend your energy. So after you establish that, number 6 would be, now that we have the state registration paperwork as well as EIN number, then the number 6 would be for us to go get a bank account open, because if you don't have bank account, people don't pay cash here mostly, right? When you do the bank account, talk to your banker and see if they will extend the credit line for you as well. Do not tap in to the credit line unless it is needed. So I see a lot of people, or some people to be precise, just because they have a credit line and the interest is lower, they start buying other stuff and toys that they need. Remember, the goal of opening a company is not to buy the stuff like RV that you need. It's actually grow a business. Therefore, the reason of opening that credit line is to create a cushion for you in case if you need to meet any payroll responsibilities while you're waiting to get paid from a customer, because commercial and industrial jobs normally take you 30 to 60 days, sometimes 90 days to get paid, whereas residential, normally they write the paycheck to you right away. So when you do that, also ask your banker if they would open a credit card processing services, as many people do like to pay with credit cards. There's normally a fee about 3% to process a credit card payment. However, you can tag it along to your cost of business. Basically, if your thing costs $100, the service, then you can tell a customer $103, and you know that if should they decide to pay with a credit card, then you have that already covered, and it's not coming out of your pocket because you already counted your expenses. So after bank account, what we want to do is go get the insurance, and protection is super important. Insurance is one of the things that is mostly neglected too. I see it a lot, and we normally say like, you know, nothing is going to happen to me, and then something happens precisely then. And normally when you have a coverage, nothing happens. But the intent of having insurance is not to jinx ourselves. I mean, nobody wants to go get a life insurance, because the only way to use life insurance is to literally die, and you don't want that. But you want to have this for peace of mind and for your future generations, or those that are at your will. Same principle applies here to have an insurance, or having the car insurance, right? You don't want to have the car insurance to wreck the car. You want to have it for a peace of mind, but also it's a regulation. So there are various types of insurance that you can opt in. General liability insurance that covers mostly the property, a client's property. So if one of your cleaners go up and break one of the items, an expensive TV, while they're cleaning, and then this insurance can kick in and reimburse it. So this way it is not costing you arm and a leg. Or workers' compensation is another one that is also needed, especially if you're trying to go into the commercial arena where you will be servicing commercial accounts. Then you would need to have the workers' compensation. Most of them, before even releasing a payment, they'll be requiring you like, hey dude, John, where is your insurance certificate? Luckily, in cases when we had been attempted, in our case, our personnel was using proper techniques, procedures, meaning we had the wet floor signs and etc. So we had attempts on our insurance claims, and luckily we were able to prove that we were complying with the regulations. It wasn't a negligence. But if you have ever went through any insurance claim, then let me know the extent, how much time it took, and how much your insurance in return went up. So there are other insurances that you also might consider. You might consider lost key insurance. Let's say a client gives you a key and then your staff loses it, then you need to rekey all of the houses. Nowadays, luckily, most are opting into like a Bluetooth keys and etc. So that might be a little linear. Another insurance that is pretty popular now is the cybersecurity insurance, because a lot of stuff we have on our drives, and if you get hacked, they reimburse you, but they also require you to have things such as two-factor authentication in place and etc. And then auto liability, of course. If you're driving on the road and trying to, going fast or in somebody's driveway and hit their mailbox or their car, those are the instances when your insurance will come in and kick in. So the next thing you want to do is infrastructure. And this would be number 8. When you do the infrastructure, what I'm talking about is having your phone number ready, having your accounting software ready, because once you do the service, you need to invoice the customer and you need to be able to receive the payment. And a lot of people nowadays, they actually pay online with credit cards, unless they're there and you're tapping and you're using your phone now, or sliding, which is very, very popular nowadays as well. Services such as Stripe and etc. offer them. You will also consider getting CRM, which is customer relationship management software, because you will find yourself, especially in the cleaning industry, as you keep going back and forth, that most of the time your account closing times take months and months, and you need to keep track of each conversation, each proposal, each note. And having a software such as CRM will be really essential for you to keep track. If you're more in residential are quick, you might be able to get along with something simple as Google Sheets or Google Sites, which are free, or $6 to $10, depending upon if you opt into Google Workspaces. And if you're not, I would recommend you opt into Google Workspaces. But if you are building a legit business and the intent is, although you're starting small, then you're gonna grow, then you wanna start building your mailing list and customer database, and you keep it in CRM. So services such as QuickBooks, online, if you can afford it, if not, you can buy a desktop version, which is cheaper, meaning for one time it's more, but then you don't have to keep paying recurring fees. The disadvantage is your accountant can't log into it automatically versus the one that online, which is more, and now it's more convenient, but it'll depend on your financial situation and how fast and where you want to grow, and then the CRM software. So we talk about infrastructure was number 8. So number 9 is a marketing collateral, and that is where we're going to talk about business cards, because you need to have business cards, and your business cards should be like, try to differentiate yourself. Don't go with Vistaprint, the cheapest option, just because you're a cleaner. Actually, being cleaner is cool. I really enjoy being cleaner. So whenever I go to networking events, they're like, who are you? I'm like, I'm cleaner. I'm literally cleaner, and I take pride of it. And whether you decide to go into cleaning or not, that's not something to be ashamed of. That's actually something to be proud of. And this industry have given me so much, as I've mentioned, not to brag. And I know you can achieve everything I have and even more. So business cards, try to make legit business cards, maybe pay for a little thicker ones, maybe pay for recycling ones, if that aligns with your values, of course. If you want to get a website, do a professional looking website, more like a landing page. There's a rules for search engine optimization, and website is so powerful, you can actually use it for pull marketing. Going forward, you could be attracting customers to your website and generating leads, what we do. And this is one of the reasons how I was able to grow our company to $1 million plus in annual recurring revenue without cold calls. So I wasn't cold calling, I wasn't doing a door-to-doors, but I was I figured out how to bring in the leads. And if you haven't watched the video how to generate leads, then after this, I would invite you to go and watch it, because there I discuss 2 ways to generate leads. One is inbound and the other one is outbound. So outbound is like push marketing, inbound is pull marketing. Depending on your strength and skills, you could leverage either one of them or ideally both to grow. But website is more like a pull, so make sure you build it properly. You can go simple, such as CMS, close to Joomla or WordPress, which is pretty popular as well. However, if you have capabilities to subcontract out to a freelancer who can help you out to build this properly, then I would encourage you to do that. Be mindful of your spending costs because they can rack up really quickly. Services such as Fiverr and Upwork, those are the freelancer services, matchmaking services. You probably want to take advantage of those websites and get matched with the right vendor that will deliver a good product for you. Proposal template, that's essential as well, because whenever you send out your proposal must be able to stand out from your competition proposal, because you're gonna have so many competitions that clients normally shop 3 to 5 companies when they need a price, and everyone has different proposals. Yours need to stand out. What I prefer is clean look, to the point, mention your credentials, so why you give some testimonials in your proposal. Keep in mind that the proposal template itself is an opportunity for you to sell your services, because your goal is to go through the door. Everything adds up. There's no one single factor that will have customer to decide whether they want to go with you or not. There's one of them could say that like, oh, because of this, I'm not gonna go with you. Yes, you might be able to pinpoint that, but those are like presentability, your pricing, your business cards, your email communication accuracy, your proposal template. So spend some time in designing a proposal, and if you need help and freelancers, then bring them, of course. Should you decide to do flyers, door-to-door flyers, door hangers, etc., you can get them as well, because this all falls into the umbrella of number 9, which is markets and collateral, which you need. As a separate line item for the item number 10, what I'd like to put is legal agreements. And legal agreements are so important, because once you do the service, you want to make sure that you get paid. And that is where the legal agreement comes in play. We had cases when we faithfully have delivered the service and the customer either decided to take advantage or start coming out with the excuses, and the legal service that we had signed with agreement was what got us out and got us paid. Ideally, make it painless, short, to the point, run it by your legal counsel, and digitally signable, so clients can even sign on their phones. If you have ever run into any legal problems related to your cleaning services or practices, please share with the community so that we all know what you went through, and mention specific jargon that you think every service agreement should have so we can incorporate it into ours. You will also need services for your agreement with your subcontractors, with your vendors, and with your team per se. So you're gonna need those agreements as well. And not only you can sue customer for not payment, your employees can sue you, or your customer can sue you. And all of these litigation, not only it costs a lot of time and energy, but also tons of money. So therefore, you need to make sure you have that ready. So legal agreement, therefore, I'm putting it as a single line item. The next line item would be, you might have actually guessed it, is on top of building your team. And if you're actually liking content like this, please smash that button wherever it is. It'll tell me that the content I'm putting is really helpful. Share this. Honestly, we spend so much time trying to put content like this. And when we see that people actually liking this content and they're commenting and they're benefiting, and then several months after they come back and like, dude, because of your advice, it saved me this much, or I get started and now I'm making this much. Those stories uplift us, the creators, and we just get so much more motivation to keep creating more videos like this. So you might have guessed the number 11 is blasting. So that is blast everyone, which means now that you have the core is done, you can do the service, you have service agreements, you have phone numbers, EIN, bank accounts, credit line, and etc. Now you have this pipeline, but you need to feed it, right? This is the machine, because you're building a machine which is going through. First, you need to attract those who possibly might be interested in your services and come in. And this is where you create all the social media accounts. And then you start going to networking events in person and online, Chamber of Commerce members, etc. The corporations of your organization, municipality that help grow businesses. Those are the networking events that you want to attend and be visible so they know. And each time I have, for example, one of the cool things that I've noticed from other people when they solicit their businesses or when I meet them, they hand out 2 business cards. Consider doing that as well, because that's not expensive. Business cards don't cost a lot of money. But if you give 2, they keep one with them, and then 2, they can give away the second one to someone else, or have those digital cards now, where I recently had dinner at a networking event and I literally ran out of business cards, but I had a barcode scanner. Everyone was able to scan it and then add me on LinkedIn, and I was boom on their contact. So these were 11 steps, all the 11 steps that you need to get your company started. Now go ahead and crush it, have your success stories, let me know how your business is growing, and then watch one of the next videos, and I hope this helps. Thanks and bye.